Welcome to another exciting edition of Scarlet Betch. I'm Jason.
And I'm Anthony.
So, welcome back. Sorry we've been away for a little while. We both have gone through a lot of life changes recently. Anthony has moved to an entirely new city, which is really exciting.
It's not just the background that's different. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta now.
Yes, you're in Atlanta. Very exciting. Exactly. We'll make DragonCon very, very fun and easier.
Yeah. I think we're still doing like a room in a hotel.
Hotel situation?
Yeah, exactly. Just because any kind of commute in Atlanta during con is just terrible.
Yeah, so. Shit. But it'll still be really cool. And sad face, I got laid off a little over a month ago, and just transitioning into like fun employment land has been interesting. But the good news is I'm kind of coming out of it, and I'm having a bunch of interviews recently, so that's really awesome. But back to the wonderful world of comic books. Today we're going to be talking about two wonderful issues, and maybe more if we tangentialize. Two things came out this week that were really exciting. One was the final issue of Avengers Children's Crusade, or it's like Avengers Children's Crusade Young Avengers whatever that was. And then another Avengers book, Avengers Academy, which is the newest kind of addition to our Scarlet Betch roster, which is kind of unexpected but very welcome.
Okay, I have to say, it's one of those books, that and iZombie, when those books came out, I was like, these are going to have queer characters in them. They have to. They're just that twee. And then I got the first issue, read about the cast, was like, why is some of these characters gay? Mm-hmm. Turns out they were.
Yeah.
That's a 2-year closet. What?
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like just coming out, it's kind of coming out, it's kind of entering the whole queer comic sphere at the right time, because I feel like a lot of queer characters are now not being part of kind of the major solicitations right now. Like Karma isn't really kind of doing a whole lot in New Mutants, and North Star is kind of in wherever Happy X-Men land. Especially now that Alpha Flight was reduced down from the new kind of ongoing series to the original Maxi series, which is now over, which was really good, but it's sadly over. So we're kind of at this place where we're having a dearth of queer characters.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. I mean, because there's always cycles, and so it's good that they're ramping up. And I feel it kind of ebbs and flows, and it was really awesome having Dakin. And I guess we still have Dakin as kind of a queer title character, because most of the time queer characters just exist on team books. And hope that team book does really well, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, no, but you're right. Yeah, it's things were ramping down, and now they're ramping back up.
Well, hopefully, I mean, on the Marvel side, it definitely feels like it's ramping down. On the DC side, there's still a bunch of queer people running around, like Batwoman and Midnight and Apollo. Outside of that, I'm not really entirely sure who else is kind of going strong. Yeah.
But he's a noob. I mean, that's it. I mean, Batwoman, I think, is the most successful queer character in comics today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That and Kevin Keller, so.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So true.
But back to Avengers Children's Crusade. Speaking of, wonderful series that are ending. Did you have something to say, Anthony?
Yes, okay. I have to time out. Sorry, everyone. You're not supposed to have dead air time on media. Look, Dan Barrett signed by Kevin Keller.
That's so exciting.
I got a picture of him, too, holding it up. I guess I should have gotten a picture of him and I together, but that just, that was the best. I went to MegaCon in Orlando.
Don't you think that Dan Parent also kind of looks like Mikey from Queer as Folk? I've always thought that whenever I see him in person. You kind of look like Mikey with a goatee, but that's just me.
Oh, Hal Sparks?
Yeah, Hal Sparks.
Yes. Dan Parent is a wolf. Mm-hmm. He is. Tasty. But it was funny talking to him and being like, oh my gosh, the guy who made Kevin Keller, oh, I love you. With my friend Nathan, also a gay comic geek, and we were just geeking out about Kevin Keller, and it was funny because it's not that clearly he's not anti-gay, but I feel like given he's doing like an Occupy comic book. He did like the first interracial couple in Archie Comics. He did so many big things in terms of updating Archie Comics. But like this is the thing that like fanboys geek out about when they meet him. I feel like it was a little bit like that. Like he'd gotten this before from some homos walking around the con and like, but it was awesome for me. Yeah.
So back to Avengers: Chosen Crusade. So this is yet another really great series that is now coming to a close, which is really super sad. But there are a few things that kind of like happened in this book that I was really shocked by. So spoiler warnings ahead. We're gonna be talking about them. So in the last issue, we saw Thatcher get kind of like blown to smithereens by Doom, and she kind of sacrificed herself in a very like wasp way. I don't know what it is with these giant women who get killed, but it's like okay. But like so, Cassie's dead, and I was like, oh, it's fine. Scarlet Witch will like make her come back to life again because her dad's alive, so that'll be fine. But no, evidently she can't do that anymore because Wanda lost the power of the Life Force, because that's a thing. And then like Iron Lad kind of goes insane and kills the Vision, and you're like, oh wait, but the Vision's like a robot. They can just reboot him. Like he's like a Cylon. No, suddenly the Young Avengers has like ethics or something. I'm like, oh okay, we can't like bring our friend back from the dead. That's like,
Meanwhile, Iron Lad has turned evil and is going off to the future to become Kang the Conqueror. I mean, and I'm like, they tied that together.
Yeah. That was really good. I thought that. I was wondering like, when is this like? When is Nathaniel just going to become the Kang the Conqueror that we all know and hate and love? But I thought it was interesting what they did and the motivations that they gave him, because Kang is kind of like, he's one of my favorite Avengers villains, but he's kind of like the campiest Avengers villain kind of out there, because he's like, I am Kang the Conqueror from the 31st century, and also I have swords. Why do you have swords? Like, I don't understand. So weird. But like, but it actually reminded me a lot of so like, there was a Avengers cartoon television series. I don't know what channel it was on, but it was like released in like 2010, so it's kind of recent. And the animation isn't that great, but like it's really, really good. It's like really comic booky, and like not a lot of like comic book media that gets translated to other things like Teen Titans Go or like in something else. Like it embraces its new medium, but it also loses a little bit of like the comic book sensibilities. This is totally like Silver Age comic books, like right there, and it's completely like it has enough camp factor and it has enough like suspension of disbelief for like, oh yeah, sure, like it's Hawkeye versus like 8,000 bazillion robots, but like he's Hawkeye, he'll be fine. So like yeah, but anyway, they did in that series they did a Kang the Conqueror story that like was so brilliant, and I was like, how are they gonna like? I mean. Like there are a lot of Avengers, villains that are like you can totally work in, like Hydra, sure, Ultron, that makes sense. But Kang the Conqueror is one of those like really far out ones that like you don't really want to touch because it's like Phoenix Saga, it's like it's really loopy and like you're not really sure how you're gonna work it in. But they totally gave him like great dramatic arc. They totally gave him like a really like emotional reason to be involved, and it's all about lost love, which is kind of what they did with Nathaniel, which I thought was really great. And as far as I can tell, I haven't really read like early Kang stuff, but that really wasn't the case with the character before. It was kind of like a flimsy, like I want to rule the world, like monologue. So that's why I'm really excited about like what they've done with Nathaniel or Iron Lad.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe they'll bring him back as Kang the Conqueror. Young Kang the Conqueror!
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Young Masters of Evil?
Yeah, I was just about to say how, like, unexciting that was. I don't know. I thought they were really, like, not as good as they should have been. Because they were like, the Young Masters of Evil, it'll be awesome. But, like, they're kind of mess-ups and, like, not very cool. And they're just kind of analogs of, like, the Young Avengers. And I thought the Young Masters are, like it was weird that the Young Masters were like just like Earth 2 versions of the Young Avengers, where the Young Masters really should be like copies of what the Masters of the Universe were, but whatever.
Yeah, the Masters of Evil.
Yeah, uh-huh.
There were copies of the Masters of the Universe. I would be fine with that as well. That would be an okay comment. But I love the 6-arm girl. She was my favorite.
Yeah, Coat of Arms is really cool. I really like the character design and everything about that. Do you have anything? Oh, so other crazy things that happened in Avengers: Chosen Crusade. Do you want to go for it, Anthony? Or?
Well, yeah. Okay, I will. Okay, things that I loved and things that I hated. Stature dying. That was horrible. What? But that's the other thing. I'm like, okay, they could be broken up while she's dead. When she comes back to life, then they can get back together. Like, the other thing I thought was like, okay, so we took Vision and Stature and Patriot out, and Iron Lad. Wouldn't it be cool if somehow, like, they formed another team, or, like, they had some side storyline or something? I don't know. I'm like, Patriot feels super guilty. He should have his, like, Children's Crusade now, right? Like, it's going to be Patriot's Crusade next, right? He's going to go back and, I don't know, find a way to bring Stature back, since she was the only character that I cared about who died or turned evil this issue. Also, the team is interesting now, because it's like they only took the local people. That was, I don't know, it's cool that it's like this.
I'm just surprised that they killed off Cassie in what is really, I mean, like important for us, but like in the larger scheme of things, feels like kind of like a tangent story. You know, it's not like clear how much it's gonna affect the rest of the universe. So, so it is interesting that they killed Cassie and Vision when those are the characters that have had most play outside the franchise, which is interesting because Cassie and Vision were not only part of the Mighty Avengers, but they've also been featured prominently in like Avengers Academy and that kind of thing. So it's really, I'm like, whoa, these are really, really, you know, like successful characters. Why would you kill them off in this, like, this side thing?
Successful characters and central characters, like both the Vision and, I mean, they brought back older Vision, so the killing off of younger Vision, makes sense to me. Stature's death makes no sense to me. Like, just because she's a female character, and like, why would you kill off a female character? And it's not motivating anyone else's, really.
Yeah, I mean, her death was kind of, I mean, it felt really cheap in a lot of ways, just because, like, there wasn't any build-up, and then, like, the fallout from it was really rushed, and, like...
Well, and that was the interesting thing about the pacing of this issue, because the first, like, 4 pages that it released as a preview were really emotional and really intense, and then Kang stormed off, and I expected more reaction, but then people just talked.
It was weird. Like, they were talking, and then they had all these different, like loose end tying, and then, like, everyone was, like, having these, like, emotional platitudes that were being said to each other by like oh, Scarlet Witch, you know, she has to have her little like emotional side with Wonder Man, and then she has to have her little side with Magneto and Pietro. And I'm like, there's a dead girl lying in front of you. Like, why is no one like addressing the
literally lying? Like that's the other thing. Like the last shot, they just dropped that body. They're just like, she's dead.
It's still on fire, and we're gonna like, you know, on fire. His body is on fire, and they're like, should we like reboot his brain? He's happier like this. Still on fire.
Still on fire. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was bad. It was just like that's hilarious. I did want to say, like when they had Billy being depressed, and like that's why they didn't get involved in any of the huge events that were going on the past year.
I love that.
Yeah, that was
BT Dubs, Scruffy Billy, super hot. Keep the look. I like it.
Be depressed more often.
So like Teddy like kind of proposes, and then they have their first on-screen kiss, like ever. And I just want to say, like, that like means a lot to me, because like I've been waiting for that. I've like, you know, there's been so much like fan art that I've been like hoarding of like with that scene, and now that it happened in like for realsies is so exciting to me.
So cute too. Oh, it was the cutest.
And it also reminds me of, actually, so I may have to run and grab something too. I'm gonna do it right now. We're
Okay,
gonna
go.
Now we're back. And so what it reminded me of was like 2 years ago, I was at New York Comic Con and I was in the artist alley and I waited 2 hours in line for the Jim Chung to get him to draw something, and he did, and it was amazing. But when I met him, I asked him like, "Hey, so like for my commission, could you draw Billy and Teddy kissing because they haven't kissed yet, and it would be really awesome." And then he was like, he started sketching. He was like, "Hey, do you mind if I like just like make them like affectionate but like not kissing?" And I'm like, okay, I mean, you're the artist, and that's fine, but, like, I really wanted them kissing, but, you know, that's fine. Like, whatever you want to do. You're Jim Chung. I'm going to let you, like, do what you want to draw. And so, like, he drew this, which I really loved. Love so much. I'll, like, scan a picture. I know. It's really cute. They're really adorable. But, like, I was still, like, ever since that day, I was like, oh, I want them kissing. It was like, this is, like, it's something that we haven't seen in comic books, like, ever. So it made me really happy.
Yeah, it was awesome. I went back and read it a second time just so I could like go through the pacing again, because like I said, like the pacing was so off when they like had like the loose end. They had the denouement like right in the middle of the graveyard. And yeah, and then it struck me like the second time around. I was just like, oh my gosh, it's a full page spread of boys making out. It's so cute. Mm-hmm. They're fiancés now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but then my big question is that, like, well, now that this is over, what are the Young Avengers going to be doing now? So, like, you're now, like they're like, now you're not Young Avengers anymore, you're, like, Avengers. But so are they a team now, or are they going to be split up into different Avengers franchises, or?
Well, I'm pretty sure AVX is going to shake things up in terms of lineups and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just assuming.
Well, what's weird about AVX is that, like, there's, like, the weird thing about AVX is that A, it feels a little like, I don't know, I feel like it's a little forced. Then B, I was like, wait, didn't they just have X sanction? Wasn't that like X-Men versus the Avengers too? That was the crossover event that never happened. It, like, the first issue came out, and then like the second one was like delayed or something, and then everyone stopped paying attention.
Dumb.
Yeah.
They brought Cable back.
Yeah. It's not even bringing him back. It's like a past version of him coming to the future. Is stupid. Yeah.
It's just, and that's the other thing. I read through my little promotional thing for AVX, and it said like Cable is a wild card, and I was like, I'm pretty sure we erased him from continuity because we're smart.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean the whole point is that like he like. I mean, this is like, totally like a Doctor Who issue, you know? Like, if he is a character that's from the past who has transported to the future, but we know that already in the past he sacrificed himself to save his, like, daughter-to-be. Like, that we know that, like, now that he's back, he has to go back to the past, or back to the future, something. He has to go back to his original timeline and then die again, or else this whole thing is a paradox. Which is the same exact thing that happened with, like, when, you know, what's-his-face? Captain Marvel came from the past to the future, and then like had that interlude with like Teddy, and then had to go back to the past because he was like, actually I have cancer and I have to die or else the timeline gets fucked up. So I'm like, what? Yeah. So basically, Cable coming back is stupid, and if you want to bring him back, you should maintain like the temporal continuity. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. There's ways to do that, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also I'm really hoping that they're gonna do something with Cassie in terms of like the time travel, and that's why I was like, Ken can go off and like work with Patriot, and they can like make an evil vision, and they bring Cassie back, and then she's like, no, I'm not gonna do it.
Zombie Cassie.
Totally. Well, that's the other thing. She was killed by magic, right? We know the rules of the Buffyverse, which is really much stricter than the Marvelverse.
But yes, but so what I thought was going to happen when they were going to open the doors, I thought it was like, and you know, like, and here's your new home amongst Avengers Academy, because you were, you know, that's what I thought was going to happen, but didn't happen. But speaking of
those bitches graduated, son. That's the other thing we learned from Buffy. When half of your classmates die, you're graduated.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But so speaking of Avengers Academy, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. So, kind of like, for those of you who are not in the know, the new big queen on campus is Stryker, the electricity-wielding formally, I guess he had this whole like chauvinist front, where he was hitting on everything that had tits and ass, and yeah, so now he's out, and everyone, or a lot of people, were like, well, is this like really true to the character? You know, how much is this character going to change? And I thought it was really funny or great how like he's still like kind of like the very like attention-seeking, fame whore kind of like person. Like, that's awesome. Like,
well, and it's funny because one of the things that the guy talked about when the author talked about when he was describing where he was going with the character and the past of the character that had been revealed because there had been some sexual harassment or the sexual abuse in his childhood and things like that, is that he seems to be like keeping these things kind of separate, or that they're all, you know, that it's not a revelation about someone's character isn't going to change who they are at the moment, you know, because it's been true for all the past moments. So yeah, it's cool that he's still the attention-seeking Kardashian that he always was.
Another interesting and like kind of like note in that issue was he makes this like big press conference to announce his like gayness. Very much of like it reminds us a lot about what happened with like North Star. But then he's like on the phone talking to his mom, who is also his publicist, and he's like, "Get me a date with the hot kid, the gay kid on Glee. No, not that one, the hot one." And I'm like, wait, is Darren Criss gay in the Marvel universe? I think he is.
You do realize there are 7 queer characters on that show,
That's
right?
true. That's true. But I mean, I assume that he meant like the hot one. He meant like not Kurt, which I take offense to because I think Kurt's cute.
Because Kurt is the most eligible bachelor, according to Elle magazine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is though, Sebastian is a character.
I'm not going to dignify that with a response. I'm going to move on. I'm going to try and tuck and roll. Because I want to talk about the amazing lesbians that happened.
Okay, let's really talk about that and get back to.
So there were so many queers in this book, so many. Because not only is like, what's her face, like Rainbow Girl, like Rainbow Bright,
Julie Power.
Yeah, Julie Power, whatever. From the Power Pack, she is like bisexual and meets Carolina, who also is a rainbow powered girl. So they can have like rainbow powered lesbian fun. Like,
that's my favorite part about the Marvel universe. If you are a rainbow superhero, you are LGBT.
Yeah, totally. Julie Power from the Power Pack and Carolina Dean.
And only one of those characters was supposed to be queer at the beginning. Yeah. It's like, but you got rainbow powers.
Totally. So they had some like lesbian kind of like hinting at interlude stuff. I'm like, yeah, do it.
Were they just checking each other out in like volume 2 of Runaways when they like?
I don't remember. See, I didn't even like remember that. I didn't even remember any like tension between them.
Oh, they had a line. They were like, "You look cute. You look cute."
Oh, hey. But wait, wasn't that when Zavin was still around though?
It might have been pre-Zavin.
Maybe pre-Zavin? Okay, I'm not sure.
I think it was pre-Zavin, yeah, because it was like right after Victor, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What I was very upset about was that in Avengers Academy, Caroline was like, "But I'm single now." I'm like, Zavin is still out there pretending to be you, as far as I know.
Yeah, and also Zavin is totally like in prison for you. You like dirty, like ungrateful wench. Like what? The love of your life goes off to space and suffers like your like penitence, and you have the gall to like date around. Sorry, it's like I'm sorry, intergalactic long distance is tough for you, but like what?
And that's especially because I'm like, it's clearly like the author getting the character whatever's and like looking at it and being like, oh, she's gay and single, okay, or whatever. I mean, I assume that like they just said that. I don't know. I'm just like, this is a continuity error.
Yeah.
This is not Carolina being like, unless it is Carolina being flaky. Like,
well, I mean, so a few things. A, Carolina is like 17, so she has some license to be a flake because she's a 17-year-old girl, or 17-year-old person in general. But also B, like, what kind of was weird is that, like, it would have been one thing if, like, Carolina and, like, Zavin had, like, talked about, like, okay, I'm gonna pretend to be you and go into space, and while we're apart, we can totally, like, sleep with other people. That's totally fine. But that's not what happened, because Carolina got, like, not totally, like, knocked out, and Zavin was like, switcheroo, I love you, and then... what? Yeah.
Maybe that's why she thinks she's single.
I mean, she knows that Zavin went out with her.
Because they've been writing letters.
No, I don't know. But it was pretty obvious. Like, the matches Damien's wouldn't just, like, walk off with nothing to do, you know?
Right? I don't know. I didn't like that. I was very upset.
I was upset, too. Yeah.
But then it was, like, so cute.
Yeah, super cute. And I just really like, I loved seeing the Runaways kind of do their thing, and I thought about how much I missed them, and I'm like, also, why is Marvel, why have you not revamped this, like, whole franchise? You have a movie coming out in 2013 or 2014, like, get on that.
Right? I mean, maybe that's what they're waiting for, just like how Batwoman was stalled until New 52.
Yeah, I guess so, but, like, I don't know.
It's been off the books so long, and that's the other thing. Like maybe but I feel like so many people were chomping at the bit to write Runaways. Like, does no one want to write this really awesome creative book? I
mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that it was like a pretty successful book, and like people were reading it, and it was like the new it thing. But granted, it was like I think a lot of that was like might have been the writer versus
I feel like it was a critically acclaimed book.
That's true. It was critically acclaimed, and it wasn't necessarily a commercial success. I'll give you that.
And I mean, I think that has happened a lot. You know, like with X-23, with Dakin, with so many books that are just not. I mean, at DragonCon last year, there was that awesome point that like people are used to marketing these books to middle-aged white dudes, and like. You're going to have the best marketing to middle-aged white dudes. And so books that aren't for middle-aged white dudes aren't going to sell as many because there's just not as big an audience because they don't know how to get one.
Yeah. Sucks. But, yeah, so...
It's fleeting moments, ships in the night, fan fiction between.
Well, I guess that's it for this issue of Scarlet Betch. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for being away for so long, but we're definitely looking to get back into the swing of things. So make sure you check back soon for another new issue of Scarlet Betch. Bye.